From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Hey folks, good morning. James Azar here with the Practitioner Brief for October 29th, 2020. Before we get started today, though, I'll ask you to please subscribe to our podcast. If you're watching or listening, make sure you tune in. Subsequently, as you're listening to this, as this is airing right now, I am live on a LinkedIn Live podcast, so you can tune in to that as well. Before we get started as well, get our entire Practitioner Brief on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com. So excited for today. Okay, here's the thing. A lot to talk about today. I've got 4 different stories I want to highlight. Okay, from Microsoft's SMBGhost flaw that's still haunting over 100,000 Windows systems, a critical Oracle WebLogic vulnerability, Russian Turla hackers are breaching EU government orgs, and US hospitals are being warned of an imminent ransomware attack from Russia. And guess what? Elections on Tuesday and Saturday's Halloween. Can this week, just with everything going on, can it get any spookier at this time of year? Right? Well, let's start off with U.S. hospitals and what's happening there. An alert that was issued yesterday by the FBI and CISA and HHS said that the organizations received credible information that threat actors are targeting the healthcare sector with the TrickBot malware and attacks that often lead to ransomware infections, data theft, and disruption of healthcare services. The alert focuses on a TrickBot, particularly the anchor evasion detection modules used in attacks aimed at high-profile organizations and the Ryuk ransomware group, which has often been delivered using the TrickBot botnet. Both TrickBot and Ryuk were previously linked to threat actors operating out of Russia. While some ransomware operators have decided to avoid targeting healthcare organizations, for Ryuk operators that hasn't been the case. Brian Krebs has said that in his blog that they've been planning and deploying ransomware attacks at over 400 healthcare facilities in the U.S. According to local media reports here in the States, several hospitals in the U.S. reported being hit by ransomware over the last few days. A few weeks ago, hospital chain Universal Health Services reported that computers at all 250 of its U.S. facilities were disrupted due to a cyber attack. CTI leak, folks. If you're in healthcare and you're looking for help and you don't have the resources, you don't have the know-how, FBI and CISA, they do an amazing job, but they're so stretched out. They need more budget. They need more money. They need to get more people on staff. So with that being the case, contact Ohad and his CTI League. They are volunteers. They're in your region, and they can help you out as well. Another story is the Russian Turla hackers breach European government organizations. A Russian-speaking hacking group, Turla, has hacked into the system of an undisclosed EU government organization, according to a cyber threat intelligence report by Accenture. The attack perfectly lined up with Turla's information theft and espionage motivation, and its persistent targeting of government-related entities from a wide range of countries. In all, during their espionage campaign, Turla had compromised thousands of systems belonging to government embassies as well as education and research facilities in over 100 countries. This is, again, cyber espionage at its finest. We know that Russia is trying to destabilize the EU. We know that they are trying to gather more information in order to have an upper hand in negotiations. The world's kind of pausing until Tuesday, folks, and the results of Tuesday is going to lead to reactions on Wednesday. And we're going to see that not only diplomatically, but we'll also see it in the cyber world. And we'll see where these things go. Now, let's talk about critical vulnerabilities. Let's talk a little bit about patching and vulnerability management and what's happening here. Obviously, it continues to be a challenge for all of us as practitioners. And Oracle now has a WebLogic vulnerability that's being exploited in the wild. Threat actors have started to hunt for servers running Oracle WebLogic instances vulnerable to a critical flaw that allows taking control of the system with little effort and no authentication. The vulnerability leverage in attacks is CVE 2020-14882 with a severity rating of 9.8 out of 10 that allows compromising systems via a simple HTTP GET request. Oracle fixed this vulnerability, and we discussed that last week in this month's critical patch update. However, honeypots set up by the SANS Technology Institute caught the attacks shortly after the exploit code emerged in the public space. Vulnerable versions of the Oracle WebLogic servers are 10.3.6.00, 12.1.3.00, 12.2.1.3.0, 12.2.1.4.0, and 14.1.1.0. In the advisory today, the Dean of Research at SANS says that exploits attempted on the honeypot came from the following IP, one being China, Moldova, Hong Kong, and the US. According most of the pinging coming from Moldova here. So this is being exploited in the wild, folks. If you're using the Oracle WebLogic server, make sure to patch it or talk to Oracle and try to stick some controls in place if that becomes difficult. Microsoft's SMBGhost flaw is still haunting over 108,000 Windows systems. We often talk about the difficulty here. So more than 100,000 Windows systems have not yet been updated to protect against a previously patched critical and wormable flaw in Windows called SMBGhost. Microsoft patched the RCE flaw bug tracked as CVE 2020-079 back in March. It affects Windows 10 and Windows Servers 2019. Ranks 10 out of 10 on the CVSS scale, folks. It exists in version 3.1.1 of the Microsoft Server Message Block Protocol, the same protocol that was targeted by the infamous WannaCry ransomware, guys. So let's get this thing done. According to Jan Kopriva, one of the researchers at the SANS Internet Storm Center, she's unsure, unsure of what method Shodan uses to determine whether a certain machine is vulnerable to SMBGhost, but if its detection mechanism is accurate, it would appear that there are over 103 affected machines accessible from the internet. Microsoft has released this update in March and is asking people to now patch, as we're seeing more and more of this. CISA and FBI have all issued warnings on this as well. That's it for today's Practitioner Brief. Tomorrow's Tech Corners with my friend Yeli. We're going to talk a little bit about the US and the EU and how we view each other from a cyber perspective. I'll give you a little hint. You're going to be really surprised at our discussion and what EU thinks of the US and what the US thinks of EU, and it's nothing like the new Borat movie, by the way, which is garbage. If you can afford to waste, if you haven't seen it yet, don't worry about seeing it. It's, some sequels are bad, and this is one of them. It really is. I was so disappointed. Either way, that's it for today. Happy Halloween to all of you boys and girls. I hope you're going trick or treating. If you do so safely. Wear masks, social distancing. An idea: put candy out. Have your front door open, stand, but put the candy maybe 6 feet so kids can go up, reach, grab a piece or two, and they can continue to go through the process, and maybe that'll light up a little bit of the difficult year that our children have had to deal with thanks to lockdowns. That's it for us here today. I know I've said that so many times, but we'll be back with more on Monday. And on Sunday, we kick off. Folks, I forgot one more announcement. On Sunday, we kick off our Veteran November podcast series every single day on every single podcast channel that I run, CyberHub Podcast and the CISO Talk Podcast. I'll be featuring at 2 p.m. Eastern Time another veteran who's in InfoSec as we talk about their transition, what they did, and how successful. And we learn from each other and hopefully inspire each other for the entire month of November. Sunday through Friday, I'll be posting these episodes at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make sure you tune in. Patrick Benoit, you know who Pat is. If you've been listening to my CISO Talk podcast, I've had Patrick on several times. Excited to have him be the first guest on this special November series. Veteran November, that is the hashtag. Look it up. You'll be able to watch the videos on LinkedIn and YouTube every single day under the hashtag Veteran November. That's it. Again, signing off. That's it. We're done. Happy weekend. Shabbat Shalom. See you guys.
We love feedback, so make sure to on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.